Hi, welcome to my studio again. So I just got my first coronavirus shot at VA yesterday and my arm's a little sore. But maybe sometime this year we can get back to normal and I can start giving live workshops again. So in the meantime, here we are with the next video. This video we call What Makes an Artist. So what makes an artist? Is how do we define that? It's kind of a vague gray area in a lot of ways. Is it education? Is it intent? Well, I'd like to paint, I just don't have the time. Or is it doing? Actually, it's doing. If you make art, you're an artist. Now, what level of art that is, or what level of artist that is self-determined. It's like music or writing or any of the arts. The more effort that you put out, the greater your growth, the better your artwork gets, the more you can communicate through it. And so these videos that I'm doing are about motivating you to the doing part. Actually, in education and art, we're really basically self-taught. If you get an education in art, if you can afford to go to college and that kind of stuff, it's great. It's like a jump start. I went to a private art school for my bachelor's degree, which was wonderful. The experience was one of the best experiences of my life. It gave me a foundation to make art, but I determined whether I was an artist or not by the process. Of all the people I knew that went to the Art Institute in Kansas City with me, very few continued to make art. So they can go to college, they get a degree in art, but if they don't make art, are they really an artist? Art is in the doing. And we are self-taught. So what do we do to self-teach? Well, there's lots of things you can do. Look at a lot of art. Just look at a lot of art. You don't have to go to museums if you don't like museums. I love art museums. I don't go often, but look at a lot of art. Look at books. Look online. Magazines are a great resource, but look at a lot of art. And then here's a really great, this is something I teach in my workshops. This is great for learning what you want to do in art, is when you look at artwork, how do you respond to it? Do you like it? If you do like it, what do you like about it? Is it the color? Is it the brushwork? Is it the subject matter? Why do you like that? And if you find these things that you like, then you incorporate these concepts into your work. If you hate it, why do you hate it? What is there about it? Does it not move you? Why does it not move you? I'll give you an example for myself. In non-representational art, Piet Mondrian is a very famous artist, very highly respected. I think of paintings like Broadway Boogie Woogie. He painted with primary colors primarily, and he did geometric shapes and this kind of stuff. And when I look at his work, it doesn't do much for me. It actually, and I don't mean this as an insult, but it's very decorative. It looks like wrapping paper or wallpaper, something from the 50s. Do I dislike it? No, not really. It just doesn't do anything for me. So does that mean I don't like non-representational work? No, I like non-representational work. I love Helen Frankenthaler. She did these beautiful gestural landscape-based non-representational paintings that just were gorgeous to me. Why were they gorgeous? So I'm looking at these going, okay, why do I respond to this? Why do I like it? Well, I love the brushwork. The brushwork is visible and it's gestural and it's juicy, and the nuances are gorgeous. And so these are things that I go, oh, okay, so I don't care for, sterile geometric shapes, but I do like gestural brushstrokes. So I incorporate this into not only my non-rep work, but I like the same stuff in my representational work. So an example of that would be somebody like Ang again, who did the portraits of Napoleon, photographic, very real. You can't even see the brushwork. They're impressive in their articulation. They're gorgeous in his ability to draw. They're remarkable. This is before photography, so painting was very important, and it was really the only way to capture people like Napoleon. You know, the painting with a hand here. Anyway, the painting for me is more historical, and I get to see Napoleon, but as far as does it move me artistically? No, not really. It's a little too cold. Somebody else may really respond to that. You know, what your response is your response. That's what's important. You know, other people's response is their response. Don't let that taint or tint your vision. Your vision is your vision. And so, if I don't like this portrait of Napoleon, does that mean I don't like the portraits? Oh, absolutely not. I love John Singer Sargent's portraits. They're beautiful. Again, they go back to gestural and painterly, and they're mystical. They're great paintings. So look at a lot of art, you guys. The more you look at, and the more you discover about yourself by your response. All artwork has two elements. It has what the artist presents, and it has what the viewer brings to it. Your history, your knowledge, your background is half of the painting. A great example is the Dutch paintings in the 1400s. They were full of iconography, symbolism. And in this symbolism, today we don't understand any of it. It's not been passed down. We don't get it. Only art historians and people who are, you know, artistic or have read and studied art know these things. There's a painting, famous painting by Jan van Eyck called The Marriage of Giovanni Arnolfini and His Bride. And it's one of the first recorded weddings. And it was painted in 14 something, I don't remember. But there's all kinds of symbolism in the painting. There's a dog on the floor, which represents fidelity. There's a lit candle in the candelabra that represents the presence of Christ, because it was it was an event where God's watching. There was a mirror on the wall with the reflection of the artist painting the scene, which is really interesting. There was an apple, which represented the temptation in the windowsill. And all of these things, there was a broom that represented domesticity. But we don't get these things today. We just see this painting with people and a dog and blah, blah, blah. But so you bring your history to a painting. And so some of the paintings just go past us because we don't have the knowledge of that period or whatever. But we have to invest in artwork. If you're going to get anything from artwork, you have to kind of give a little bit. So look at a lot of art, you guys. You know, your art is about you. It's about your response. It is a self-discovery. It's you making art. So here we are now. I'm talking about looking at a lot of artwork. I've got some books that I'd like to recommend. And some of these are not really visual books, but they're books written by artists that are very motivational. Some of them are 40, 50, 100 years old, and they're still great books. So the first book I'd like to talk about is Hawthorne on Painting. And the great thing about these books are they're pretty cheap. You can still find these on Amazon. And this book is motivational as heck. I love this book. So if you want to get motivated to paint, if you're intended on doing painting, but you're not doing painting yet, this is a book that'll help you do. Robert Henry, The Art Spirit, another great book. Here's a great story. Look at the spelling of Henry, Henri, and you can get this book on Amazon too. The story goes that his dad murdered a man in New York City, and they fled to Omaha, Nebraska. And he changed his name, just changed Henry, Henry, to Henri, and got away. They didn't catch him. That was back before computers. But this is a great book. It's a very good book to read, and still recommended highly. This book is unusual. This book you can still find on Amazon. It cracked me up. This book is one of my favorites. This guy is still alive. He's probably, in my opinion, the best living representational painter in America. He's that good. He wrote this book in the 70s. And the book was like $17. And it's got a cult following now. And you can find the book on Amazon. It's like $100. But it is an excellent book. Richard Smid Paints Landscapes. He's also got one on nudes, but I highly recommend this book. Again, talking about Richard Smith, here's a book he did just about 20 years ago called Alla Prima, which means at once. And another highly recommended book. But this book's about 120 bucks on Amazon. But excellent book, excellent book. If you can't draw, you can't paint. So drawing is a foundation. You must learn to draw well, to paint well. And so a book on drawing is Nicolati's. And this book is still available on Amazon. And it's an excellent book and one of the highest recommended books on drawing there is. You can self-teach with these books, you guys. Here we are, Edgar Payne. He's one of my favorite American painters from the California school in the 20s, 30s. This guy is remarkable. His paintings are really fun to look at. Check him out. If you have questions about art, you know, what makes an artist? What is it? This is a really good book that I used to teach in college. It's called Puzzles About Art, and it's an aesthetics case book. This is a really fun book. And I think you can probably, I haven't checked, but I think you can get this on Amazon. And this is in the same vein. Why is that art? These are great books. These will really open your consciousness. If you're going to create, you have to be very open-minded. If you say, well, I don't want this, I don't want it, it really closes down your options. The more open-minded you are, the more you grow. And lastly, but not least, here we have the Artist Handbook. For anyone working in the studio, this answers all kinds of questions about paint, technique, materials. This is a definitive Bible for the studio. And again, you can get this on Amazon. But this book, if you want to know what colors are toxic, what colors are safe, what colors are transparent, what's opaque, colors that are permanent, colors that aren't permanent, all of these things, they're in this book. So I highly recommend this stuff. You guys take care of yourselves and keep painting. So good luck.